हो येस सर चालेल चालेल.
Live started, sir.
So shall we start?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So good afternoon, dear teachers. Once again, we are meeting for the new topic, and the today's topic is modern medicines, double-edged weapons. So this is our seventh online informative session. Today's topic is somewhat different. You may think that this topic is only for the pharmacy teacher, but this is not true, because as a teacher, we should know the basic things about the medicines, and that is why we have chosen this topic. So without wasting the time, I request our General Secretary, Professor Subhash Athawale, please introduce today's speaker.
Thank you very much, Dr. Vaibhav. I am very happy to introduce Professor Manjiri Gharat, who is in charge principal of K.M. Kundanani Pharmacy Polytechnic at Ulhasnagar. She is leading at several positions. She is Vice President and Chairperson of Community Pharmacy Division of Indian Pharmaceutical Association, that is IPA, from the year 2012. She is the first woman who has been elected as Vice President at that position. She is also Vice President at Community Pharmacy Section of International Pharmaceutical Federation, that is FIP, from 2012
Your
to
voice is not audible, Athawale sir.
2020. Hello. She is a project leader of IPA. She is a project leader of IPA, Companion for Awareness of Responsible Use of Medicines. She has authored several books in Marathi, and she is also an author to the Lok Satta page, which is coming, you all might have read. Moreover, she is also a leading at position at Community Pharmacy Polytechnic, that is community CDTP, that is community through Polytechnic, and she is heading that position since she has taken over as in charge principal of Pharmacy Polytechnic. I request Professor Manjiri Gharat Madam to continue with her session on today's topic, that modern medicines, a double-edged weapon. Over to Manjiri Madam.
Thank you very much. Thanks to Mukta, and thanks to Mr. Subhash Atole for organizing this webinar today. And thank you all the colleagues who have joined us. And I extend my warm welcome on behalf of KM Kundanani Pharmacy Polytechnic as well as on behalf of Indian Pharmaceutical Association. Thank you very much for joining. I hope all of you are safe and are in good health. We are talking about the modern medicines, the double-edged weapons, आधुनिक औषध, एक दुधारी शस्त्र, and therefore how it is important to use them responsibly. So responsible use of medicines, because all our medicines, the modern medicines, we are talking mainly about allopathic medicines, because they are all double-edged weapons. In this presentation, we'll have a quick overview of the pharma scenario in the country. Then what are these modern medicines? What is the rate of modern medicine consumption in the country? What are adverse drug reactions? How are these modern medicines used by our consumers, by our patients in the community? What is the need for responsible use of medicines? And then we will deal with the basics of medicine usage, know your medicines. And then I'll give you a list of some useful resources which you can use even after this webinar. Mr. Narone, in the introduction, he said that as a teacher, we must know how the medicines are used. I would say As a consumer, as a teacher, we must be aware of how the medicines have to be used. We must know the basics of the medicine. So all of you must be knowing that the pharma industry has grown a lot, and it is one of the best developed pharmaceutical industry. And we are also called, India is called, very proud, I'm very proud to say that India is called as pharmacy of the world. We are the third largest in the world by volume of production, and we have 74 manufacturing plants in the country which have got US FDA approval. So, apart from US, this is the only country which has got so many manufacturing plants with US FDA approval. We are the main exporter of generic drugs to US, Europe, and African market. Overall, there are like around 550 molecules and combination of molecules, which are called as fixed dose combinations, which are manufactured in India by around 20,000 companies. This is again a rough estimate which I'm giving you. And we have like total 1 lakh formulations. Yes, 100,000 different formulations. That means this consists of all different brands which you see, the tablets, solutions, syrups, all mixed together, as well as the Ayush medicines, that is Ayurvedic, herbal, Unani medicines. So we have like one of the largest market, pharma market in the world. And what's happening? So the pharma market is very huge, very large. And what's happening to our healthcare? Unfortunately, the disease burden is increasing. What is happening is, see, what the lifespan that we had when we got our independence, that is around that is in 1947, our lifespan was around 47 years. But now the lifespan has crossed 68 years. So on an average, a person lives 68 years or more. But unfortunately, the longer lifespan has added to unhealthy years. We are living longer, but we are not maintaining the good health. Disease burden is increasing. Various types of diseases are increasing, as all of you know. And medicines have become more fundamental need, like Anna Vastra Nivara. These are the Mulabhut, like fundamental needs. So medicines have all got added to it for many people, and medicine consumption in the country is very high. We are one of the first 10 countries in the world in terms of medicine consumption. So why medicine consumption is increasing? All of you know the aging population. This is called as like demographic time bomb. The young India is aging very fast. And when you come to aging population, the geriatric people, old people, you know that all of them require medicines, not only one, but maybe two, three, four medicines they have to take on a daily basis. That's why it multiplies the number of medicines overall usage. Also, unfortunately, we have increasing burden of non-communicable diseases. Now, what are these NCDs or non-communicable diseases? These are the ones which we cannot be transmitted from one to other. So, like COVID is a communicable disease. We are all affected by COVID right now. So, COVID is a communicable disease, but NCDs means like diabetes, hypertension, cancer, arthritis. These are all called as non-communicable diseases. And very unfortunately, it is affecting old and young. In 1990, if you just check, that 50% of our diseases were infectious diseases, that is communicable diseases. Come to 2020, 45% of our diseases are now NCDs. The infections have reduced, but then the NCDs have increased, and we have old people getting affected by it as well as young. You talk to some physicians, you talk to doctors, and they will say that the face of their OPD is getting younger day by day, which is not a good sign. Young people also need BP medicines, diabetes medicines in their early 30s, early 40s, or even earlier than that. So the medicine requirement is increasing, and we have so many different type of medicines, so many different type of dosage forms. Thanks to the technology, earlier times, say 19th till 19th century, we just had pills and we just had churna, the powder, maybe lake. But now we have so many different types of devices, different types of tablets, caplets, capsules, and so it is like too many types we have in the market. So these modern medicines which we have are very, very effective, are potent chemicals. They're very potent. That means they're effective in very small concentration, say in microgram concentration, milligram concentration, they're very effective. And they have revolutionized the healthcare. Thanks to the advances in the research, thanks to the medical sciences, pharmaceutical research, because of which we have all these modern medicines. And they have really revolutionize the healthcare means just one injection or one tablet in emergency can save the life. So that's why they are so potent. I mean, that's why I'm calling them so potent. They are life-saving drugs. But when, unfortunately, where there is an effect, there is a side effect. So all the modern medicines come with some undesirable effects, some side effects. No medicine is without a side effect. We don't have a single medicine on this earth which does not have any side effect. Yes, some side effects could be very minor, which can be ignored. Some side effects are harmless, but some side effects could be major toxicities, adverse reactions. When we talk of modern medicines, quality, efficacy, and safety are important parameters, and the industry tries to assure us the safe, effective medicines and safe quality medicines. Paracelsus, alchemist, very famous alchemist, long time ago had said that every medicine can be poison. Only the right dose, the right level, responsible use differentiates it. That means every medicine can become a poison. That's what he wanted to say. Even WHO says the same. Safety of medicines is a concern. There are adverse drug reactions, and adverse drug reactions are one of the leading causes of morbidity and mortality. That means it is one of the leading causes of deaths worldwide. It is in first five. You won't believe that the adverse drug reactions are causing the deaths. We are taking the medicines, we are taking the drugs to cure us, to relieve our symptoms. But what's happening? That sometimes the drug causes the adverse reaction, and these adverse drug reactions put together is one of the leading cause of the death. That means उपाय से अपाय हो रहे हैं. उपाय नहीं हो रहा है लेकिन अपाय हो रहे हैं. So this is what sometimes is happening with the medicine. Adverse drug reactions, we don't need to go into the details of the types. It's more of a mechanistic thing, mechanism based. But I can just quickly tell you that some of the adverse drug reactions are very predictable and they are dose dependent. So, say for example, insulin. When insulin is taken by a diabetic patient, if he takes little higher dose of insulin, it can cause hypoglycemia. That means the sugar level goes down below normal, and that could be fatal for the patient. He can go faint and go into coma also. Antibiotics, some of the broad spectrum antibiotics can produce diarrhea as a side effect. So these are like predictable, known, dose dependent also. But sometimes what happens, some of the adverse drug reactions are unpredictable. They are called as what? Allergic or hypersensitivity reaction. So we don't know who would be developing an allergy. We know like sulfa drugs can cause rash, but then we don't know in whom we will see that. So that is something unexpected, unpredictable. Then some of the drugs have the effects, side effects immediately, or some of the drugs can show the long-term effects, like steroids when they're taken by a person, that will cause osteoporosis, that is porosity of the bones. Streptomycin, which was an old-time drug, anti-tubercular drug, that causes deafness, ear toxicity. One more major adverse drug reaction is like teratogenicity. Now, what is this teratogenicity? When certain medicines are taken during pregnancy by a pregnant mother, it can cause damage to the developing fetus. That means, see, now the medicine is not damage to the woman who is pregnant, who is taking it, but it is reaching the fetal circulation, it is reaching the womb, and then it is causing the damage into the developing fetus, which we realize only after the baby is born. So there are some drugs which are to be totally avoided during pregnancy because of this adverse reactions. Then some adverse drug reactions can result because of drug-drug interactions. So many patients have to take more multiple drugs. One drug can interact with other drug. ऐसे नहीं है कि एक ड्रग लिया है और चार ड्रग साथ में ले रहे हैं, तो चार में से दो ड्रग्स they can interact with each other, that can lead to toxicity. Or drugs can interact with alcohol. If person takes alcohol along with the drug, it can also cause fatal reactions. And of course, drug addiction. So these are some types of adverse drug reactions. So now we know that the modern medicines are very effective. We are thankful to the research, to the advances. They are life-saving drugs, but at the same time, we know that they can have a lot of adverse reactions. And the research has shown it. I mean, in case of allopathic medicines, we are very clear what is an effect and what could be the side effect, what could be the adverse drug reactions. WHO says that the adverse drug reactions could be preventable. Now, when we know that the modern medicines are so potent and they can be having side effects, see what happens in the community. What WHO says, unfortunately, more than half of the medicines are prescribed, dispensed, or sold inappropriately, and half of all patients fail to take them correctly. That means already medicines are chemicals. They can have side effect. We are aware of it. And what is happening is half of the medicines, say 50% of the medicines worldwide are not prescribed properly. That means it is the purview of the doctors, not dispensed properly, the purview of the pharmacist, or sold inappropriately. And half of all the patients, that means us, the consumers, fail to take it correctly. That's where our role comes for the responsible use of medicines. Why the medicine? What is the situation of medicine usage in the community in India? We have overall poor health literacy. We call it as what? Arogya Saksharta. We have overall, see, among some educated people, they're very careful and they know everything. But on an average, if you see 1.3 billion people, then there is poor health literacy. Socioeconomic conditions are also challenging. And we have a lot of irresponsible use of medicine. Overall, there is a casual attitude. We don't realize that these are potent chemicals, but overall, we look at them more casually, and there is a casual attitude. And in one line, I can describe it, summarize it as overuse, underuse, and wrong use of medicines is very common. There is rampant self medication. That means a person will go to the chemist shop and buy things on his own, her own, without consulting a doctor. And take so self medication for few drugs is okay. We are going to discuss about it. But there is rampant self medication of all types of drugs, and there are many prescribers in the society. That means not only doctors, but say my neighbor would tell me that these are very good tablets. You take it; they were very good for me. So like that, there are so many prescribers in our community, and we would listen to each other. Then there is, on one side we see a lot of self medication, but on the other side there is medication non adherence. What is medication non adherence? That means when doctor has told us to take a particular medicine for a particular period, we don't follow that. We don't comply with that, right? So on one side, self-medication. On the other side, when medicines are given, we don't listen to the doctor. We don't comply with it. So it is like very contrasting, very extreme kind of behaviors which we see in the community. There is wrong use of different dosage forms. Sometimes we don't know how to use a particular tablet or how to use an asthma inhaler. There is antibiotic misuse. Antibiotics are very special drugs and they kill the microbes. They kill the bacteria. If we don't use them properly, there are prescription drugs. If we don't use them properly, it leads to antibiotic resistance. So that is a very special problem worldwide, but more so in India. Overall, because of the wrong use, irresponsible use, we have wastage of medicines, as well as there is a lot of problems with the storage and disposal of the medicine. These are quick some examples of, like, there are so many examples one can take. These are some of the examples like how we use the medicines improperly, incorrectly. Take an example of an oral liquid in our house, say a syrup or a suspension. If doctor has told us in the prescription, take 1 teaspoon, say 2 times a day. 1 teaspoon means 5 ml. 5 ml. Now we need to actually use it with the cup or cap, plastic cap, which is there on about a bottle. But many a times what people do, they will just take a kitchen spoon, 1 teaspoon, Anna. So kitchen spoon will be used for taking the medicine. So then it is not going to deliver exact 5 ml, depending on the size of the spoon. It could be 7 ml, it could be 3 ml. And then the wrong dose, that means not an expected therapeutic effect. It's not going to work. So this is what happens. And when it doesn't work, we feel that doctor has not given us correctly something. Then we change the doctor. So like small things, especially in case of kids, these small things, these things are very preliminary, very basic things. And when we feel this is so minor, why should we discuss about it? But this is happening everywhere. And only few people measure it correctly. We need to use it with a cup, and that has a marking of 5 ml, 7.5 ml, 10 ml. There are different types of tablets. We'll discuss about it later, but all tablets should not be swallowed with glass of water. Some have to be chewed, some have to be just kept in the mouth. So there are different tablets, and from the label, we can come to know about it. In case of asthma, there is need of use of inhalers, and that inhaler needs to be used correctly. Otherwise, we buy a very expensive inhaler, but then we don't use the breathing technique properly, and then the half of the drug is wasted. So that should not happen. This is very, again, a common mistake we do. Most of the people don't use the antibiotics properly. I mean, they will not, when the doctor has told them, suppose you go to a doctor with sore throat and fever. I hope none of you have it right now, because right now if we have it, we are very worried about corona. But otherwise, I'm talking about it. So if we have fever and cough and we go to a doctor and the doctor prescribes, say, amoxicillin 5 days, 3 times a day or something, then what happens in the second day or so, by second day, our sore throat is gone, fever is gone down, and then we feel that we are okay. We don't need to continue with the medicine, and we just forget to take that antibiotic. So we don't complete the course of antibiotics. And that is a major mistake that we do with antibiotics. Then taking the blood pressure medicines or diabetes medicines, blood pressure, diabetes are usually lifelong situations, lifelong conditions. Patient needs to take the medicines regularly, but many times there is missing dose, or for few months patient doesn't take, then again starts taking. Not all. I'm not talking about every patient, but many of the patients it happens. What about the situation of self-medication? Self-medication is, as I said, going to the chemist shop or going to the taking the medicines or somebody else's medicines we take, leftover medicines we take. So that is a very rampant self-medication. In today's modern times, when it is a very stressful and very fast life, we don't have any patience and we go for shortcuts. Now, what are these shortcuts? Pop up a pill. So there is a pop up a pill culture. So we feel that there is pill for every ill. We have slight acidity. We don't want to change our diet. We don't want to change our lifestyle, but we want to take salt. We don't want to take other antacids. If there is pain, we go for painkillers. We go for anti-ulcer medicines for our acidity. And that is doing more harm than good. These medicines in long term, they're going to damage kidney. There is increase in the kidney damage in young age, like below age of 50. One of the reasons for the kidney damage is the rampant use of painkillers or even antacids, because they all contain some metallic ions and that affects our kidney. Self-medication with steroids. Steroids are the drugs which are very, very potent. They're very extremely useful drugs, but they should not be used without a prescription. They're not for self-medication. Now, this person in the example, in the picture, if you can see properly, he wanted to build his muscles and he wanted to look like a hero. So he started going to the gym, but somebody advised him that you can go and take so and so tablets, and that way you can build the muscles. He started going to the chemist shop and purchased the steroid tablets. In few days, he looked like he started developing muscles, but then he had severe bone pain, all the problems. Bones became porous. Calcium was totally removed from his bones. That is a side effect of steroids, called as what? Osteoporosis. And ultimately, he had to undergo a hip surgery. Now he walks with the crutches, he walks with the walker. He wanted to become a hero. So if he would have just continued with the gym and good diet, he would have been maybe a very handsome man. Instead of that, now he's walking with the walker. So here I say that the rampant self-medication by the customer, by the patient, is his blame, is his problem. But at the same time, a pharmacy should not have given him a medicine, the steroid, without a prescription, because those are prescription medicines. So consequences, to summarize this, consequences of irresponsible use of medicines are very serious. There are adverse drug reactions. There is failure of the therapy, relapse of the disease. Sometimes there is antibiotic resistance. I hope all of you know the term antibiotic resistance. It means that antibiotics don't work in us anymore. The antibiotic A was taken, and now we develop a resistance for it. Now antibiotic A is not going to work in us. Maybe a B has to be given, maybe then the C has to be given. Likewise, we have come to a situation now in India as well as in the world that none of the antibiotics work in some infections because we have misused them. So antibiotic resistance is a major public health crisis in today's world. And ultimately, prolonged illness and hospitalization occurs and increased healthcare costs. You again and again go to the doctor, again and go and purchase the medicine. So all that is a lot of mental agony. So these are the consequences of irresponsible use of medicines. And this incorrect use or responsible use is not only common in uneducated customers, but it is also unfortunately quite commonly seen among the educated patients. So we agree to it that the modern medicines are life saving, and we are thankful to the research and the advances. But the modern medicines have to be used carefully, and responsible use of medicines is important. So responsible use of medicine implies that all the stakeholders, like say doctors, pharmacists, nurses, ensure that the patient receives the right medicines at right time and uses it appropriately. So the second part is very important. So they have done their job. Industry has produced quality medicines. Doctors have prescribed properly. Pharmacist has dispensed properly. Now it is us, the consumers, the patients. Now the patients and the caretakers of the patients are equally responsible in the feet of the rational use by adhering to the therapy. So we have to use our medicines correctly, comply with the orders, instructions of our doctor, pharmacist. Now, why medicine usage must be like, what could be the contributing factors for incorrect medicine usage? Why there is some, why we are not aware about the correct use of medicine? Overall health literacy is low. Patient education and involvement is required, but that is not happening. We don't have any medicine, consumer medicine awareness or any medicine education in basics in our school or colleges. In other countries, it's happening. In the higher secondary school, the children receive this basics of medicine usage. Then, unfortunately, the community pharmacy, that is, we call it as retail chemist shops or the medical shops, they are not well developed. The practice is not very well developed as in developed nations. And so in other countries, a pharmacist gives a lot of advice to the patients. Our pharmacists are doing a great job of supplying the medicine. And I can say in today's COVID scenario, they're doing really a dedicated service. But somehow we have not developed our pharmacy practice to an extent, professionalized it as in developed nations. So customers or patients are not getting that kind of counseling from our pharmacist always. Few exceptions apply, but overall, medicine labels are very difficult to read. It's you will agree to it that it is so difficult to read. It's not only for you, but even for us who are part of this pharmacy world. There are no patient information leaflets given. In other countries, patient information leaflets are given, which are very readable, and the labels are very readable for the patient. This was I was talking about the pharmacist in the other countries. They are healthcare professional, link between the patient and the doctor, very professional. They wear the apron, they have the badge, and they are like patient counselor to the patient. And so they give all information about how to use medicines, do's and don'ts. So medicine literacy or responsible use of medicines is the need of the hour. So we now learn about some basics of the medicines. So there are two types of medicines. One is prescription medicine and other is non-prescription medicine. These are right now in India, we just have these two major categories of the medicine. The prescription medicines, as you can understand, these require a prescription. That means only doctor can order these prescriptions. Doctor can write the prescription. So you need to have a prescription to buy these prescription medicines as per the law. So antibiotics, steroids, all the cardiac drugs, anti-diabetic drugs, medicines for psychiatric disorders, most of the painkillers, anti-ulcer drugs, they all require prescription and you can purchase it lawfully only with the prescription. Now, whether you can purchase it on counter without prescription, that is a different scenario. But by law, it is required. Now, how a consumer would know which is a prescription medicine and which is a non-prescription medicine? So, on the label or on the carton, you have to look for the red line on the left-hand side. I hope you can see it in the slide correctly. And you have to look for the sign RX. It is in red at the left top of the label. And nowadays there is a red box, the warning was always there, but now the warning comes in a red box. So there is a very prominent red box, which you can see. And it says to be sold by retail only against the prescription of a registered medical practitioner only. And so there are different schedules of the drug, Schedule H, H1G, X, which all require the prescription. And on the label, there could be RX, NRX, XRX. So just to summarize, a red line. So government of India's few years ago ran the campaign, Red Line campaign, to make patients aware, to make consumers aware that some medicines are prescription medicines only, don't self-medicate. And especially this campaign was run for the antibiotics to make patients aware that please do not buy the prescription medicines. Antibiotics without a prescription. Also on the label, you can see that on the label, there is a name, which is a brand name. The generic name, that is a molecule's name, and this is a brand name. By law, the molecule name has to be little larger in font than the brand name. And then you see the red box. So prescription medicines, how are you going to identify? The red line, then the red box, that is how you're, and a Schedule H warning or H1H. The other small group, so most of the medicines in our country are prescription medicines, but the few medicines are OTC medicines or non-prescription medicines. They are called as over-the-counter. In our country, we don't have the term OTC in the law. We call it as non-prescription medicines. They don't require any prescription and they can be purchased without a prescription from the counter. You can go to the pharmacy and buy. Which are these medicines? A small group of medicines like paracetamol, aspirin, antacids, lotions, vitamins. They don't require any prescription. So they are relatively safe and can be self-medicated. That's why they are kept in this group of OTC. So you don't need doctor's intervention. But if we don't use them appropriately, again, they too can cause the side effects. And that needs to be dealt very carefully. Now, see, for example, paracetamol, it is a very safe drug. But if you overdose it, like if you take paracetamol tablets, more than 8 tablets in a day, 24 hours, then it can cause liver toxicity. Aspirin unnecessarily taken can cause thinning of the blood and can lead to the hemorrhage or the bleeding. So even these need to be used very responsibly. Another very important point, by law, there is no compulsion of prescription for purchase of Ayurvedic drugs or Unani drugs or Siddha and homeopathic medicine. But even if they're OTC, these medicines also are not free of side effects. So we have one concept in our country or maybe world over that herbal or Ayurvedic means side effect free. But they also can have free side effects. They're also finally chemicals. So they should also be used diligently with due care and with an advice of the respective expert. So you must go to the Ayurveda doctor and consult and then only take those medicines, but not as a self medication, even though we are using it traditionally for so long. But right now, whatever medicines are there in the market, we must consult the respective expert. So now we know that there are prescription medicines and over the counter medicines. Now we just go to different steps and learn what should be our role. When we visit a doctor, we should tell about all the health problems. We should tell about all medicines that are currently taken by us. If we don't remember the names of the medicines, we can take the strips to show the doctor that we are taking this. And because what is happening today is there are different specialty doctors. In earlier times, we had a family doctor, and our family doctor used to know everything about our health. But that's not the case today. So we have specialization. So we go to a different doctor for a different problem. So we must inform a doctor which other medicines have been prescribed by other doctors, or even what other OTC drugs, Ayush drugs we are taking. It is important in chronic diseases that we go to a visit a doctor for a follow-up checkup. And if we have any allergy, we must inform the doctor about it. If a lady is planning to get pregnant or planning to become pregnant, then also she should be telling, or if she's breastfeeding, then also she should be informing that to a doctor. Accordingly, the treatment can be modified. Why so? Because as I told you earlier, some drugs could be toxic to the developing fetus, and therefore pregnancy should be informed, or even plan to become a pregnant in near future should be informed to the doctor. When we buy the medicine, we must go to a chemist shop which is authorized, which is displaying all the licenses. And you will say, yes, of course, we have in Maharashtra all the medical stores which are licensed, perfectly fine. But we should also see that the pharmacist, registered pharmacist is present. In Maharashtra, most of the shops have registered pharmacists present all the time. But it is as a consumer, it is our duty that we can ask where is the pharmacist and we can take the help of the pharmacist. We should go to a pharmacy where pharmacist is present all the time. And before we leave the pharmacy, we should look for the medicine name, strength, potency, whether everything is matching the prescription. I'm aware that it is very difficult task. Even to read the expiry, expiry date is just stamped. So it is little bit more bigger in font. It's clear. But still it is a challenge, but we need to spend some time at the pharmacy to ensure that the pharmacist has dispensed the medicines correctly. Pharmacist will be doing his job properly, but still, as a consumer, it is our duty to verify that whatever we are getting, say the strength of the tablet is 10 mg. So whether it is 10 mg is given and not a 20 mg. So it is very important that we spend some time over there. We can use a small lens which is usually available in the pharmacy to read to the label if we otherwise can't. Then we must be taking the bill. It is very important that we wait, we should have patience, and we look for a bill. I mean, we ask for a bill and then preserve the bill until all medicines are finished. Because if there is something wrong with the medicines, if the medicines don't work, if we don't get any effect, or if there is any adverse reaction, this is a legal document that we have. Now we got the medicines at home. How do we store it? A very simple basic statement is keep all medicines away from heat, sunlight, moisture, pets, and children. Because all these medicines are what? They are the chemicals. And so if they come in contact with the heat, if they come in contact with water, they get spoiled and they will get expired much before their expiry date. So it is important that we store them properly. Preferably, we can keep them in a small box like this and we can label it as our medicine box. In foreign countries there is a concept of medicine cabinet. Leave the cabinet, but we should at least have a box. And if there are more people taking medicines regularly, say we have old elderly people in our home taking medicines on a regular basis, they can have their different boxes. All the bottles can be kept in a suitable tray. It will be useful to make all the list of medicines. One thing I want to emphasize that this medicine should be kept away from the children, because otherwise children may tend to take some tablets or capsules. Now that we have stored them properly, now what is the way we should be taking them? We must follow all the instructions of the doctor, read the label carefully in sufficient light. That is very important. It is essential to take the medicines in the right doses and complete the duration, as I earlier discussed. Medicines need to be taken at the same time every day. Suppose we are taking a BP tablet, doctor has told us to take one tablet per day, and we are taking it after breakfast every day. So we should be trying to maintain the same time every day. Now, what is the reason? Why should we be taking it at the same time every day? Because the medicine, after we take the medicine, it goes to our stomach and intestine, and then it dissolves, and then it gets into the blood. So the concentration in the blood will remain constant only if we maintain our timings. If we vary the timings, the concentration in the blood is not going to be a steady state, is not going to be maintained, and it may not have the expected effect. So if we forget, take it as soon as we remember. But if it is almost time for the next dose, then don't double the dose. Never ever double the dose. Skip that earlier dose and take the next dose at a stipulated time. Medicines which are taken orally should be taken by sitting in the upright position, should never be taken while lying down positions. Now, when we are taking some medicines, it is important to know whether we should be taking before food or on empty stomach. As a like a generalization, painkillers like we are taking Ibuprofen, diclofenac. These medicines can be taken after food. That is when our after the meal or after the breakfast. We should never take it on empty stomach because they can cause some side effects and ulcers, etc. But some medicines can be taken before food. Say drug for Parkinsonism, that should be taken before food. If we take it after food, it will not have correct effect. Or say ranitidine like drug, Rantac like drugs, they should be taken, or omeprazole, anti-ulcer drugs. They should be taken on before 1 hour before meals or on empty stomach. You can always ask this question. I'm just sensitizing you that a question should be asked to a doctor. Nowadays, I see beautiful prescriptions doctors are writing in which many times it is written before food, after food, at bedtime. That's perfect. So if it is not written, please ask and try to get an understanding whether it should be taken before food or after food. If not, please ask the question to the pharmacist also. There are different types of medical devices, and we must know how to use it, as I said. And you can ask the pharmacist or you can ask the doctor how to use it. As I said earlier, the lady should not be taking any medicine during pregnancy or while breastfeeding without consulting a doctor. Liquid orals, different dosage forms we are discussing. Liquid oral should be taken with a cup or a cap, and there are markings 5 ml, 7.5 ml. We should be taking it by measuring it only. There are different types of tablets, and if you read the label carefully, you will see it says each uncoated tablet or each chewable tablet. So please read the labels carefully. And if the label has ER, SR, entry coated, we should never crush it or break it. Usually we don't do that. But in case of some old people, they feel that they can cut it and take it because for easier swallowing. But if we cut it, then the whole purpose of coating it is gone, and it may be useless for us then, or it may cause some toxicity. So we should not be doing it so. Chewable tablet should be chewed before swallowing it. Dispersible tablet, take it in a cup, dissolve it properly, and then drink it. Mouth dissolving tablet does not need any water. Just keep it on your tongue, and then it dissolves, and then it has to be swallowed. Some of you might have taken the tablet for vomiting, to prevent vomiting. We have many, one or two brands which are mouth dissolving tablets. Sublingual tablet should be placed below the tongue. Capsule should be swallowed whole with a glass of water without cutting it, unless and until doctor has told you to do so. Eye drops, most of you might be using the technique correctly, but all the eye drops should be used within 1 month. So within 1 month, that means after opening it. It means eye drop like dosage form has two expiry dates. One expiry date which is given by the manufacturer, but one expiry comes from you. That is when you open the carton. Within 1 month, we should be using it. Now, how are we going to remember that? It's better not to stress our memory, but write the date of opening on the cover or label of the bottle. Use it within a month. Why should we use it within a month if it's still there? Because these eye drops, they do not have preservative or very small amount of preservatives, and then there can be fungal growth, bacterial growth if we keep it for longer time. So we should use it within a month, even if it is still left over. Earlier, I spoke to you about before or after food. So as a general rule, I said painkillers can be taken after, anti-ulcer medicine should be taken before food, anti-diabetics along with the meal or just before. So please, this is just very generalized thing. Please consult your doctor, or some medicines can be taken irrespective of food. That means it doesn't matter whether you take it before food or after food. So please always inquire with the doctor when it should be taken, whether it is before or after. Please do not give your medicines to the children. Children are not the small adults, so they have different physiology, and so please do not give your own medicines to the children. Also, do not give any medicines to your children without consulting a doctor. And very importantly, do not take medicines in front of your children, because children like to mimic adults, and they would see, say, for example, red color tablets, iron tablets taken by their mom or their grandma or somebody in front of them. Nice blister pack, beautiful. They would love to see you taking it, and when your attention is not there, they would go and take it. So there are cases of iron poisoning in children. So please do not take medicines in front of them as much as possible, and keep it safe away from them. There is a big campaign in India, Jago Grahak Jago. So please do not fall prey to the misleading advertisements. You will see a lot of claims like height increase or treatment of baldness or increase of sexual power. So there are so many misleading advertisements, and Food and Drug Administration takes action against many of the advertisers. But still, there will be, so the market is flooded with that. So please do not take such products which might be having very tall claims. Always consult your doctor, check the company, go to their website. So do some study before experimenting on yourself. Something that we should know about, as I said, antibiotics. For example, just to give you antibiotics example, what are the antibiotics? Uh, you might be knowing the names like erythromycin, ciprofloxacin, penicillins, amoxicillin, roxithromycin, and so on. So all these are antibiotics, and please, they require prescription. Do not take it on its own. Never, like, suppose a person has diarrhea. Usually, I see the tendency to go to the chemist shop and tell the pharmacist, "Give me ofloxacin." Ofloxacin is like a very high antibiotic. Without prescription, should never be taken. So please do not self-medicate with antibiotics. And when you go to a doctor, please ask in the prescription whether doctor has written any antibiotic. If an antibiotic is written by a doctor, please treat it very specially. Give a special treatment to antibiotic. Also ask the pharmacist when he's dispensing it, which are the antibiotics in it. So please complete the course. Do not miss the dose, because I told you, if we miss the dose, it is all leading to wrong use, leading to antibiotic resistance. Same is case of all like antimicrobial drugs, but anti-TB. TB drugs have to be taken 6 months or more. So patient must complete the course, otherwise there could be drug-resistant tuberculosis. Medicine should never be taken with alcohol. I mean, alcohol itself should not be taken, but then medicines and alcohol should not be taken together. For example, a person has high blood pressure. He's taking the BP medicine, and he also drinks alcohol within like say half an hour, 1 hour. There could be drug alcohol interaction leading to very toxic symptoms. Expiry of medicines. What should we know? There were a lot of messages roaming around on the social media that expiry of medicines is not we don't have to follow it. But I would say that we must follow the expiry. We should not be using the expired drugs. And till we have any new science and new discoveries, let's follow the expiry of medicines. Are there any spurious medicines or fake medicines in our market? Fortunately, our Food and Drug Administration is very vigilant, and the percentage of fake medicines, duplicate medicines, they are very, very less in our state. One of these last 2 points, especially that if since we are teachers, we should be paying attention. I will request you just see any of our students are taking any supplements to increase weight or to decrease weight. If they're say doing so, then it is a matter of concern because many of these supplements may contain the drugs which are not there on the label and they're taking it many a times without consulting any doctor. And so please be little vigilant about these students. I'm sure you are all taking care of your students. So this is like last 2 points are mainly for the youngsters, like also the girls who might be taking emergency contraceptive pills, and they are to prevent a pregnancy. Now, taking emergency contraceptive pills again and again can disturb the hormonal cycle for these girls and can cause a lot of problems later on. So these two problems are seen commonly in the youngsters, and of course the drug addiction. But I'm not touching that part. So supplements, protein supplements or other dietary supplements which are taken for change of weight without consulting a medical expert, and use of emergency contraceptive pills by the young girls to prevent a premarital sex pregnancy. Then branded and generic medicines. So what are these? I mean, we have heard so much about the generic medicines and what Janaushadhi. And so what are branded medicines? Branded medicines are the ones which are ethically promoted to the doctor, and they are the ones which are manufacturer has given the names of brand, and generics are the ones which exist by the molecule name. No trade name is given. No manufacturer does not give them any name. They exist by molecule name, and they are the ones who are off patent, which are off patent. That means their patent period is over. Now any manufacturer can manufacture them, and so they're supposed to be much cheaper. In our country, we have a third type, that is branded generics, and so the market is full. I mean, there is a big mess with this branded generics. Generics, we have very few generics which are there by molecule name. Say, for example, Crocin is a trade name, it's a brand name. But if it is like paracetamol tablet, then it is the generic version. And then we have branded generics. Generics and branded formulations, they're supposed to have the same quality. They're all FDA approved and the same efficacy, same safety. And one can consult a doctor and ask if there is a generic version or a low cost medicine compared to what you are already taking. But I would say consult a doctor before taking. So just to summarize this, medicines are double-edged sword and they are life-saving, extremely useful, but need correct, responsible use. I will say with a lot of, uh, I would like to emphasize on the point that we should not be afraid of the side effects of the medicines. There are two categories of people. There are some who would be always taking the self-medication, and there are other people who might be shying away from the allopathic medicines because they have side effects. But we should be balanced. If we need to take the medicines, we must take it, but we can take it responsibly. And as I said, without consulting doctor, following all the instructions, using medicines responsibly will assure the safety, will give us quick recovery, reduce the occurrence of side effects, reduce wastage of medicines, and reduce cost. I also request you, as a pharmacist, I request you that please always, when you go to the shop, ask who is the pharmacist and try to ask the questions to the pharmacist about the medicines. Uh, Most of them will be able to answer you, they will help you, and they are developing. We are trying to develop the pharmacy practice in our country. So consumer demand will always help us. If you want to know more about the responsible use of medicines, we have on our Indian Pharmaceutical Association's website lot of useful posters in 6 different languages. You can use those posters, put it up in the colleges. And this entire book, Responsible Use of Medicines, a layman's handbook, this is the first in the country which we have developed. The entire PDF is available on ipapharma.org under publications. And I'm happy to say that this was released by the Honorable Health Minister in 2015. Through our students from my college and other colleges, we run the campaign against responsible use of medicine. So in your colleges, if you want to have a lecture, our teachers can come or our students can come and conduct a lecture. So they go in the schools and colleges to conduct a small sensitization lecture. As we all know that adverse drug reactions are common, Government of India has an initiative that we can report the adverse effects of the drugs. There is Pharmacovigilance Program of India, and 1-800-180-3024 is the toll-free number, as well as there is an app. In this last slide, I'll be showing you the app. We can simply download that app. We can report any side effects, even if we are not sure whether a drug has produced that side effect. Even if we have a doubt, we can still report it. So the pharmacovigilance program collects all the adverse effects and then modifies, bans the drugs or modifies the label. Any precautions are added on the label. So these are some of the helpful, useful helplines. ADR reporting toll-free number, as I told you. Also the app ADR PVPI, which can be downloaded from Google. Then there is a drug information center of the Maharashtra State Pharmacy Council, dicmspc@gmail.com. If you have any drug-related queries, all doctors, nurses, pharmacists, consumers can contact to this number, to this email ID and ask. There is a generic medicines helpline that can help you to know about generic shops nearby, etc. Food and Drug Administration, 1-800-222-365 for any drug-related complaints. Then there is a Jago Grahak Jago helpline for all. It's not only medicines, but for all commodities. That is 1-800-11-4424. If you have any queries, you can always email it to me at manjirij@gmail.com. It is MNJEERIG Gmail. Finally, before I end, I'm a pharmacist working in the pharmacy field for so many years. I would like to say that since medicines are fine, they are wonderful molecules and they are helping us, but it is best that we live our life in such a way that we don't need any medicines at all. There is an Ayurvedic proverb: when our diet is wrong, medicine is of no use. When diet is correct, medicine is of no need. So I think we are going back to the basics. That is very important. Even we are talking about immunity every day nowadays because of Corona pandemic. And it is very important that we maintain our lifestyle healthy so that we don't need medicines, or we may need it in a very minimized way, very few. So the entire world is going from pharmacy to pharmacy. So they like eat your medicines, so good food that would definitely be helping us to be healthy, and then we don't need to use much medicines, and we can be healthy and keep away many of the diseases. We should try as much as possible. So thank you very much, and I'm sure you may have some questions. One disclaimer I have given you: we have discussed many things, but always consider this was there is no intention of giving a specific advice to you on any of your problems. So this is like a more of a generalized information, and to sensitize you that these are the ways we should be taking the medicines. I thank Mukta for this opportunity and giving me this platform to speak to all of you. And as Athole ji has said, I write in Lok Satta every alternate Friday. The title of the column is Arogya Nama. And there are many articles already published. You can always have a look at it on the Lok Satta website. Thank you again.
Thank you very much, ma'am. And it was indeed the slogan that you gave, from pharmacy to pharmacy, is something that is very, very interesting. Now there are lots of questions which have come up. I'm going to take a few of them one by one. So the first question it's from Professor Prashant Kanade from VS Institute of Technology. And his question is that some of the allopathy doctors ask patients not to take Ayurvedic medicines, and they claim that Bhasma Churna and Aswas that is ASAV, damage the liver. I'm just repeating it. Some of the allopathy doctors ask patients not to take
I got
Ayurvedic.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. So, what is it, a myth or a reality? That's his question.
There is lots talked about the quality of the Ayurvedic medicines which are available today in the market. Traditionally, when the Ayurvedic formulations were made, they are made according to Granthas. Now, maybe doctors suspect the quality of Ayurvedic formulations. So, it is not like every basma is going to affect the body organs. It has, I mean, we have been using it traditionally for so long, but there is again a question of the quality, as I said. So there is a doubt in doctors' minds maybe, and that's why doctor is telling not to use it. Secondly, when we are using these drugs for a long time, it has been proven that in some Ayurvedic formulations there are some heavy metals also, I mean some small amounts of it. If you're taking it long time, then they could damage. So I'm not saying that every Ayurvedic product in the market has bad quality. No, but then we need to consult a respective expert in that, an Ayurvedic doctor, and then take a particular medicine. Again, there is a chance of interaction between the two. Like Ayurvedic drug and allopathic drug can interact with each other and can produce the adverse reactions. So that also might be one of the viewpoints of the doctor for saying don't take the other Ayurvedic formulations when you're taking the allopathic medicine.
Yes, man. I think you got it. This is pretty much clarifying. Now, we have a question from Professor Ramesh Paloti, Bhavans College, Andheri West. And his question is very interesting. He says, he's asking, ma'am, how can we implement health literacy or medical literacy in educational institutions? And are there any short term courses or programs on health literacy?
Um, Thank you, Professor. Very interesting question indeed. And so far, I'm not aware of any course on the medicine literacy. About the health literacy in science, we have some health awareness, I mean, regarding the diseases, etc. We have, but we need to develop a small curriculum or a chapter on these for the secondary school children. In fact, I have been working on it, but not completed it. We can also have some courses developed through Swayam on medicine literacy and health literacy that could be helpful. But right now, we don't have any such courses that I'm aware of, and it will be a good exercise to develop it. And until then, we just need to be aware and try to make our students aware through some resources, which I said. And there is a lot of information, but again, we cannot go to the internet information all the time. It may not be authentic.
Yes, ma'am. I think I'm sure this kind of courses may be pretty interesting. Now, the next question is from Dr. Ambedkar University, Aurangabad, by Dr. Suhas Morale. And his question is, what are the side effects of inhaler in asthmatic patients?
Good question. Inhalers do not have serious side effects at all if used correctly, and they deliver a very high amount of drug to your lungs. In fact, the inhalers which contain the steroids, if you take the steroid by oral route as a tablet, it can have all those problems on the bones, blood pressure increase, etc. But the same steroid, if we take by inhaler, it will not have any side effects. Only thing is when we use inhaler, use the technique correctly. I don't know which type of inhaler you're talking about, but after using the inhaler, gargle little bit of the water you can take and gargle it so that if there are any fine particles getting deposited here, they will not remain there. Otherwise, there could be sometimes, cough or hoarseness of voice which is developed. But otherwise, inhalers used correctly have no problems. Just learn to, if you're not, I mean, I'm sure you're using it correctly. If not, please just verify it from your doctor or a pharmacist. But
So
don't worry about it. Yeah.
thank you, ma'am. Today, one of the things that we all are learning are the processes of using all these,
Yeah. Yeah.
medicines
It
and
is very
equipment.
important.
Yeah, that's a very interesting thing. So
Yeah.
now we have another question from Dr. Kalpit Mhatre from Arts,
Mhm.
Commerce and Science College, Lanja, Ratnagiri.
Mhm.
And his question is, how do we exactly differentiate between prescription or branded medicines and generic medicines? So like, how does one differentiate?
Okay, I told about the differentiation between the prescription medicine and non-prescription or OTC medicine. So prescription medicine has that red line, red box. That is different. Another classification is branded and generic. Unfortunately, there is no way It is not written on the label that it is a generic medicine. In some countries it is. So there is no way for a consumer to know whether it is branded or generic, because in our countries, most of the generic formulations also have a brand name, branded generics. But as I said, if there is a tablet available as paracetamol tablet and no other name given, that is definitely a generic medicine. But otherwise, since our generic formulations are also given trade names, it is very confusing for the consumer to know whether it is generic or branded. If you ask the pharmacist, he may help you. And if you go to the shops like Janaushadhi, which is an initiative by Government of India, then they have generic medicines, but they also have the brand names, but Janaushadhi label is also there. So it is still a very gray area. It is very confusing. I perfectly agree to you, and I know that there's something needs to be done in this direction.
Yeah, thank you very much, ma'am. I think it is good that we actually address this topic because it is increasingly being talked about.
Yeah.
Now we have Dr. Nitin Arekar from CHM College Ulhasnagar saying, thank you,
Okay.
Dr. Manjari, for educating us in the use of medicines. It will make us aware about the precautions to be taken while medicating ourselves. And his
Thank you.
question is, his question is, you mentioned India's ranking is third in the world of pharmacy industry. Now, my question is, I need to know where do we stand in the research area of medicine in finding out new drugs? So he's basically asking about researching of new drugs. Our standing on that, yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Arekar. Excellent question. And there is no ranking that I have, or I have information about where do we stand in case of research. But let me tell you, we are not, we will not have very high rank in when it comes to basic research. We are not carrying out much basic research which is needed in our country, say for our main diseases like say, tuberculosis, malaria, etc. So we are low. We still have less or low investment in area of research and development. Production, manufacturing, we are great. Exports, we are great. But that is already the developed drugs. But for basic research, we still need to do a lot. We have to go a long way. And we need to focus on the diseases which are troubling us more, like say tuberculosis, malaria, which I said.
Sure, ma'am. Ma'am, we have another quick two questions. So we have a question from Professor Leela Chavan from Sathe College, Mumbai. And her question is, will probiotics help in reducing side effects of antibiotics? Like in case of diarrhea and,
Yes.
antacids, yeah.
Yes. So the probiotics are nothing but the formulations which contain the live bacteria or the live yeast. Antibiotics are broad spectrum antibiotics are taken. They kill not only the pathogenic bacteria but also the useful bacterial flora which is present in the intestine. Because of that, we develop diarrhea. So probiotics taken along with antibiotics seem to have some effect in prevention of diarrhea. Otherwise, travel-related diarrhea also probiotics have some effect. We can take that. And the homemade curd also has a lot of good bacteria. So some of the homemade things also act as probiotics, of course. We can take that. So to some extent, there will be a use of it. Useful it will be.
That's a very interesting thing that the homemade curd is also probiotic. So that's interesting. So, ma'am, I'm taking a last question for the day. This question again is in some way covered, but let me still ask because it is very precise. It's from Professor Ambadas Shinge, and his question is: which medicines are better? Are generic better, or are branded ones better?
No, sorry, Professor. No clear answer, yes or no. Because as I told you, our country has a big issue of, the quality of all medicines is approved by FDA. And so all are supposed to be quality assured. So take generic or take branded, it should be same quality. But having said that, there are issues and concerns raised by medical professionals all the time about some of the generics. And so it is, I would say, it is better to request to a doctor and consult a doctor if you're taking a prescription medicine. But on the paper, if it is, yes, FDA approved and they should be having same quality, so we should not have any doubts in the mind. But doctor's clinical experience about particular brand, their results, so you must talk to a doctor, consult, and then ask. Instead of generic, what I would say is ask always a doctor. If you're taking a brand A, ask doctor if there could be an alternative brand B or brand C, which could be of same efficacy but having lower cost. You also yourself can go through some of the apps which are there, can compare or ask the pharmacist about it.
Thank you, ma'am. And
Ashish,
the
Ashish,
yes.
I would like to ask one question to Manjari madam. Since a lot of teachers are here, and
Yeah.
you all know that still we are following the traditional method of chalk and duster in the classroom. So, what
Mhm.
special requirements or for what special things which a teacher can do after completion of his lecture? Because professional hazard like chalk, dust, and everything is
Yeah.
supposed to go to mouth. So, what basic things you would suggest to the teachers to stop that kind of hazard to a teacher after completion of the lecture?
Good questions. We are trying to use the dustless or dust-free chalks, etc. But still, there is a dust. And so after the lecture, I think we should be gargling once, just little bit of water, so that again the fine particles which are depositing should be going away. So that is very important to do after the lecture is over. Drink water and gargle little bit. So that will definitely help. And since all of us are teachers here, I mean, most of us who are connected are teachers, I will request them that we need to educate our youngsters regarding the correct use of medicines. And I see a lot of youngsters taking steroids or taking, as I said, protein supplements, or girls taking emergency contraceptive pills. So we can even run a questionnaire or something Google form and see what medicines are taken by them and where they and we should discourage them right at this age, because if they're taking it right now, it is going to harm their bodies, and then it will have subsequent effects later on. So we need to really look for it when we are talking to our students. And one more thing, since storage of the medicines is not good in most of the households, we are under lockdown, we have little more time than usual. We can all look at our medicine cabinets or medicines wherever they are kept in the house. We can assemble it, keep it in a box, and look if we have any expired medicines, and we can dispose it. Thank you. And thank you for connecting.
Okay,
So
so we'll stop this question and answer sessions here. Last questions I'll ask. Many questions I'm getting here in my WhatsApp group. So last question is Dr. Mona Kejriwal from National College.
Okay.
In the current scenario, loads of disinfectants are used everywhere. What are the side effects on the skin?
The use of disinfectants, I mean, we are using a lot of hands. I think she's talking about hand sanitizers. So hand sanitizers, first of all, excessive use can change the pH, and they can change the flora, that is the bacterial flora on our hands. And that may not be very good for us in the long run. So excessive use of hand sanitizers should not be happening afterwards, after the post-COVID. Or I would say, whenever we are at home, using soap and water is the best thing, and that we should be using. I don't know whether she's referring to the disinfectants like sodium hypochlorite and all those tunnels. And government had just discouraged the use of disinfectants like sodium hypochlorite tunnels or so for the disinfection of the human beings, because that can cause harm to our body.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Session was really informative.
Thank
And
you, sir. Thank
fantastic
you.
sessions.
Thank
Even
you.
I received the very good comments. I'll
Thank
read
you.
2 3 comments for your reference.
Thank
So
you.
the session was very informative, knowledge of medicines. Then one more comment. The session is exploring all necessary information for proper usage of medicines. The session is really very informative, and we come to know all precautions before taking medicines. Then one fellow is asking, please share the attendance links. This is he is interested in attendance. Anyway, many positive feedbacks are there.
Thank you.
So thank you very much.
Thanks to all of you for
Last but not
organizing.
least,
Thanks.
I request Professor Atole to please give the vote of thanks.
At the outset, I think this would be a very informative and important session, because though we are teachers, but we do not know how to take or how to use medicines. And moreover, what Professor Manjari madam said is, while teaching, we also should be looking towards our children, towards our students, and we should try to find out what kind of medicines, if at all, they are taking, and whether they are taking in the right quantity or not. Further, she had mentioned that how medicines are to be used, then procedure of using the medicine, then information which is to be seen about the expiry dates and all while purchasing it from the pharmacy. She has also made a mention about self-medication, how it can cause problem in some cases. That while taking the medicine, we should be very much particular about time. For example, if certain doses are to be taken at 9 a.m. the morning, they are to be taken at 9 a.m. because she has also explained the side effects if you are not taking them on time. I think all these things shall be very useful to all of us as a teacher, and we as the connectors of the or the bridge between the students. I think if we'll take it to all our students and if I'll take it to all our colleges, and then definitely it will help us to maintain health and hygiene among our students as well. I take this opportunity to thank the Path Network Private Limited for transmitting this to a large number of population, large number of teachers. I think 1,000 plus teachers have been connected today through this link of pathlife.com. I am really thankful to Mr. Ashish Dikshit and their CEO for providing us this platform to deliver these kind of sessions. I am thankful to all the teachers who have participated in this program. I'm repeating, if they want certificate, the participants require the certificate, they can immediately after this session, we'll be forwarding a link. They can submit their information like name, their college name, and email address so that we can send the certificates on their emails directly. There are some issues, there are some problems which are coping up as the chunk is little big. Google is not allowing us to send more emails at a time, and so there is little bit of delay in sending the certificates to all the participants. Plus, please bear with us, and definitely you will get the certificates. If anybody has got any personal thing to ask to Manjari madam, I think she has shared her email address, that is Manjari, MANZEERIG @gmail.com. So they can ask any personal questions if they want directly. You can mail her, and I think as soon as she'll get the time, she'll be able to respond directly on that email address.
Many teachers are requested the PPTs of ma'am. So teachers are requested to contact her on email.
Yeah, I'll share.
PPTs.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah.
I'm finally very much thankful for Professor Manjari Gharat madam for taking out her valuable time and coming to all of us and giving us such an informative session. I'm really thankful on behalf of Mukta and pathlife.com. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Over to Dikshit sir.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, and it was a fantastic session. There are a lot of testimonials still coming through that the session was fantastic, so great, and we are all set to declare the session complete. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very
Stay
much.
safe. Thank you.
Yeah.